Everyone turn their mics on, and then we'll stand and say the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Morgan Township meeting, August 27th, 2019, at 7 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township work session meeting dated August 13th, 2019, as written.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township Board of Trustees meeting minutes dated August 13th, 2019, as written.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment listing from 8/14/2019 through 8/27/2019. Payment number 589-2019 through 626-2019, and warrant number 9431 through 9451 for a total of $83,923.71.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, do we have anyone from the audience that has anything to say this evening? If not, Mr. Galloway.
Okay, first is the Township Administrator's Report. Morgan Township, we sent our cemetery rules and regulations to the State Department of Commerce. They received them, and we have not heard anything back as of yet of any needed for changes or anything like that, but it has been registered at the State Department of Commerce. Second, Rob and I will be going out Thursday morning. We're going to be surveying road culverts. Rob's going to talk a little bit about that a little bit further in his report. We're going to be out surveying road culverts Thursday in reference to the Butler County Development Grant, and then I'm going to talk to Des and Matad and see what our next step is once we identify the culverts in that neighborhood and area that Rob's going to identify. Third, I got a email from David Brown late this afternoon. I'll read it. The Butler County Auditor, Roger Reynolds, would like to announce that beginning Thursday, August 29th, the auditor appraisals will start processing of driving by each home and business in Butler County as part of the 2020 state-mandated property reappraisal. It is anticipated this project will be ongoing through the end of November. Vehicles will be well marked and traveling slowly through neighborhoods with a revolving yellow light fixed on top. Since the appraisers are each assigned a different taxing district, there'll be 8 vehicles throughout the county in different parts of the county. So again, they'll be out driving slow through neighborhoods, probably stopping in front of each house and business, and that usually sparks calls to the sheriff's office at somebody. But they're well marked. I've seen it. That has Butler County Auditor's Office and
with
kind of
the
signs
photos,
on it.
that was
We'll
well
put
done
this on the
too.
website.
Yep,
So-
I will do that.
I will forward that
If
to you.
anybody
You
wants
can
a
put that
copy.
on there
Yeah,
as well.
I think he copied all the trustees.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so
Okay.
I'll go ahead and put that on the website.
And there was another one, the same thing, came from one of their other field appraisers, and this is a 6-year cycle that they do this for the reappraisal. So they'll have ID badges visible on them as well. So just to put that on the record that they will be out.
Now, who'd you get that from?
That one came
David
from
Brown.
Berkeley Rose. Berkeley Rose, who's one of their...
Can you forward that to me, because I didn't get that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That one comes to fire chiefs and law enforcement folks as kind of a he actually has.
But it's the
vehicles.
same thing, right?
Yeah, but the two people, they've got the two primary people, a Tom Shoemaker and a Michael Richardson, and what their vehicles are. That will be part of Tyler Technologies. They'll be also in the field doing some appraisals and
Yeah,
separate.
send that and I'll add that to the website.
I
just-
will. I'll
Okay.
send them both to you.
Thank you.
That's the report for tonight. Miami University started back in school, so we'll wait to hear from Dr. Russo about the intern position we put in for this fall term. Next on the fire department report, number one is a motion for Mark Bittner, firefighter Mark Bittner, firefighter EMT, I forgot to put that. Firefighter EMT Mark Bittner, his 2-year anniversary effective 9/8 of 19, at a 15-cent an hour raise to $15.45 an hour.
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
That's number 122, 2019.
Thank you.
Second in your packet, you'll see a motion to accept the resignation of Lieutenant Tom Radomski Bomba, effective 9/1 of 19. You'll see his letter in there. He works full-time in Oxford Fire Department. They just had their second child, and because they work every third day at Oxford full-time, and then here it was kind of putting a strain on working too many jobs and too many hours. So he is resigned, and his resignation letter is in there.
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
And that was number 123 if you need it.
Thank you, Carol. Next, just an overview. If you're not aware, the Ross School District has put and he's called a school security officer at Morgan Elementary full-time now. It's Don Tolley. He was a retired deputy from the sheriff's office who still lives in the township. He is armed under his law enforcement, but he is not a school resource officer because he's not had the training. I've integrated with him several times. We knew each other prior to him being at the school. Met with him in Principal Perry last week before school started. Our crews are going over and meeting with him now to meet him face to face because of any interaction. If anything happens in the school, they know what Don Tolley looks like and has that interaction. So our folks have gone over there, and some still have to go and meet with him. But just an interaction now with somebody there being full-time while school is in. So.
Chief, have you ever heard of Citizens on Patrol?
Yep.
I saw one of their vehicles go through the township the other day.
Yeah.
I kind of looked twice and I thought, what is that?
Yeah.
Do you got any detail on that?
Yeah, so they're volunteers that volunteer for the sheriff's office, and they have some training. They have some law enforcement training, and then what they do is they usually ride in a car of two, so they have them together, and they usually just patrol areas, go down neighborhoods that may have a lot of reported car burglaries or crime, and just have a presence of a sheriff's office looking vehicle during the daytime hours. They'll also, sometimes they'll go maybe to like a noise complaint or something that's very minor, but they do patrol. They come around here at least once a week. They drive through the parking lot of the fire station.
We go back to the radio tower too.
They check the radio towers. They check some of the sheriff's property just to make sure, gates are locked and things like that. But they do. But a lot of times they'll just patrol a neighborhood that may have issues in the past, or just to get some extra visibility out there of another sheriff's type marked vehicle. They have radios and everything like that. So
There's
yes.
no assignment to different areas, are there?
No,
They just
no.
roam the whole county?
I think they are assigned certain areas of the county, but so you wouldn't see one here and then an hour later driving all the way to Madison. I think they have areas that they are assigned, but not a specific township or a specific area. But I know for a fact, dealing with them years ago, they'll say, hey, can you do a lot of drive-throughs of this specific neighborhood? We've had a lot of car break-ins or burglaries lately, and then they'll just kind of slowly drive through an area just to make a presence. So,
Okay.
But there are always cars of two, and they're usually retired folks that have that training and just do it a couple days a week. But yes.
They do it
Citizens
in
on
the
Patrol
daytime, you
costs.
said, right?
Yeah, to my knowledge, they do not do any at night. It's a daytime only mission. So, yes.
On the Morgan Elementary school officer, Don Tolley, is there any plans to get him that training so he is a resource officer? Or
That
has not
was
been
somewhat discussed when we met with him in Principal Perry, but there was no definite yes or when it would be. The immediate issues that we talked about with him was, at the moment, he has no radio, no
Right.
communication.
I read that.
No communication, no radio. He was looking into getting a radio from the Ross Police Department, Ross Township Police Department, but I don't know if that's happened since school has started. I haven't seen him in the last couple
So
of days.
who employs him, the school district?
The school district. That is a specific school district employee. They actually hired two, him and there's another officer, security officer at the Elda now.
So
during
he's in
school.
a Ross police uniform, correct?
No, he actually is in a regular black, just a black polo shirt that just has an embroidered badge in it that says Ross School District Security Officer is all it has. Has no affiliation with a law enforcement entity or anything like that.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
they're kind of private folks with the school district providing security at the schools. So, but with Officer Tolley, he's again a longtime Morgan resident. He knows a lot of the folks here, and
I thought he lived in Ross on 120 or 129.
He's
North.
yeah,
Hmm?
They sold that as,
Yeah, he used
He
to
sold
live
that
there, and that
place.
was actually
He
Hanover.
sold that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Okay.
would.
His house was in Hanover.
Okay.
But yes,
and but he patrolled pretty much out here was his zone, so he knows most of the people here and everything like that. He's a good fit for the school, and then most of our people that have been here a few years knew him and worked with him on the road. So there's that interaction there if something goes on with the school.
and he did K-9 for years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and that's all I have. I'll go over the one executive session that we were going to go over last meeting before we had to go down to Marathon to the call. And then the only other thing, Chief Griffith is off tonight.
Did you need a PO?
Need the PO. That's the thing I was heading towards.
Oh, okay.
The Phoenix Safety Outfitters for $4,984 is for 2 sets of bunker gear. So we had 2 folks that were carryover. So when all the new bunker gear, because it was no longer NFPA compliant in 15, they had gear prior to that was still compliant. So they didn't get new gear. So now their gear is a 10-year-old, no longer compliant. So these 2, Lieutenant Browning and Justin Brim, had to get new gear, and this is their new bunker gear and boots that's now compliant with the NFPA's current.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. And that is all I have for tonight.
Anything breaking on the building project, Chief?
That goes out for bids, well, it would be the September 1st, which is a Sunday, so it would go out technically
Probably not till
September
the 3rd.
the 3rd, since the 2nd's Labor Day, so it would go out September 2nd. And we had the kitchen lady, the designer of the kitchens out the other day. So she said, yeah, if you do it in-house, it'll be a lot more than going out for bid through the addition project. So we're just waiting for that CAD drawings and all to come back with that pricing and everything like that. So that's going to be the after. We'll do the addition first and then come back and retro the interior station second. So goes for 3rd bid on September 3rd.
Is your mouse invasion under control?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. The folks over there appreciate it, yes.
Did we determine who's gonna pay for the advertising for the 3rd bid?
I have not got a hold of Mike Carroll, so
Okay.
I will try again tomorrow. And that's all I have.
Mr. Broom?
and my report there is, we put up that flagpole light. It is a solar-powered light that goes atop the flagpole, spins around them. They have not hung a flag yet to see if it illuminates the flag properly or not. Actually, we put it up and I think we forgot to turn it on, so it's had a couple extra days to charge. So we put our scissor lift on a trailer. We're gonna go down and go up and turn it on tomorrow to make sure that, I know it works because it worked when I had it out here, and it's up now, so we just gotta go down and turn it on. We filled a washout on that culvert on Lehigh Road that we're talking about replacing, and was going to replace that here in October, but I spoke with Scott Bressler, and he says that the box will not be ready for 6 to 8 weeks, and then we gotta wait for another couple weeks to get delivery. He says that's putting it the 1st of November. He does not want to start a culvert project the 1st of November, because that is considered snow and ice season.
So that means that plate's gonna be there all winter.
Correct. So today, this morning, we went and got a load of, well, not a load, 3 yards of a 1,500-pound rating concrete mix. It's a lightweight concrete mix that's to still break up pretty easy, but yet we filled the void in with it around it. It actually kind of come out into the culvert pipe some, because we couldn't get the holes sealed up. But still, basically what that's going to do is that's going to buy us some time until next spring when we can replace it. The golden thing about this whole deal was maybe by us waiting till next spring to do it, I was going to add this as one of the culverts to try to get the grant on. This culvert and the one on North Wind, I'm sorry. I emailed Dale Stewart with the engineer's office, is in charge of their construction division, asked him to give me a basic price for replacing a 5.5 foot wide by 4.2 feet tall. It's kind of like a egg-shaped pipe, 122 foot long. I said, I don't believe we need to replace the head walls on it. I think if we just cut out the bad pipe, and you can get adapters that get that pipe to go back into the head wall. Anyway, try to do that to save some money, but also still put the new pipe in there to try to get that all taken care of. So now that one's going to be more than $35,000. I know that, but exactly how much I'm not for sure. But with not having to do major excavating, not having to buy any right of way or any work agreements and stuff like that, because it's just putting back what's there, should be a whole lot cheaper for us than like when they originally did it, because they had to buy right of way, had to buy work agreements, had to do all this different stuff to put it in. And that pipe has been in for 32 years. So it lasts a pretty good while.
Jeff, you want to see if you can get a hold of them and see what form we got to fill out, and how far a radius, and I'll start going door to door?
That's what we're going to do Thursday. We're going to identify the exact ones, the area, and then I'll get a hold of Desmond on where, because I've got the grant. I just need to know, do we have to go township wide, just that area, because that's a culvert in that area and touching that part of the road? I'll find out from Desmond once we identify the 2 culverts or the 3 or whatever we want to lump together into one grant. We may, like down at Church Street, we may just have to only canvass a small area because that's where the culvert is, or the whole township. I won't know that until Rob and I identify where the culverts are, and then
I hope it
go
ain't
from
the
there.
whole township.
So,
Well, I don't think we'll have to
I
do the
don't-
whole,
I
based on
don't
what we've
either.
done before, just a general box area. And hopefully with these 2 being within a mile of each other, it'd be pretty much the same box we'd have to do.
yeah,
So,
it might just be the 2 main roads that's traveled on, the Lehigh and North Wind. So,
and the one good thing is the majority of that box is all farm fields, so don't know if that'll help us or not, so.
Don't know the answer to that.
Third thing is the retracing that we had contracted for this year has been completed. They did that all last weekend. Those roads that were done were Chapel Road, Race Lane Road, Howard's Creek, Alert New London, Shonling Road, George, and South Dwyer.
Okay.
And I spoke with Justin Ball with Franklin County Road Department, and as of right now, they're not planning on doing anything on State Line Road until next year, but he will look into it to see about, because I told him there's some places that are breaking up, and they're afraid if they don't do something before winter time, when we plow the snow, it'll plow it up. And So he said he would go take a look at it, but there was nothing planned until next year.
Did you get to meet with him yet?
No, I did not get to meet with him.
I would try to do that just for that working relationship.
I did find out that 8 years ago, his dad held the same position that he did, and I had a real good working relationship with his dad. But his dad was let go for political reasons, and in any case, he ended up with a job 8 years later. So,
Okay.
and then we're still trimming bushes and trees along the road, and we trimmed the bushes on the south side of the building here, and getting ready for the open house on the 7th. And then also just want to remind you guys that September 5th at 2 p.m. Butler County Engineer's Office for our annual planning meeting with them. And then I will have, doesn't mean we're doing it, but I will have a list of roads for estimates for paving and for chip sealing, just for number reasons, so we have them. And then I will submit the rest of the township, the north side, which will be North Dwyer, Weaver Road, Lehigh Road, North Wind, Bell, and Morgan Ross for retracing for next year. Should be pretty close to the same amount of money as this year was.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Anybody else got anything for Rob?
No.
Okay. Mr. Marshall.
All right. We'll begin with 1714
Is he gonna use his projector?
I received the signed return certificate from Mr. Trader. I sent the final notice as well as working with Ms. Nardiello on the follow-up, as Tom had asked in the last meeting. He's done nothing over the 10 days that I gave him in that final notice. So Ms. Nardiello and I will be working next week to formulate a letter to get to him at that point. Okay? At this time, Brett, would you go and
me do it?
switch it over? Over the weekend, after the weekend of the 21st, 22nd, there appeared a number of tires at 3678 Scott Avenue. As you can see, this is the beginning of it. This was done on the 20th, so it was the weekend past that. They suddenly showed up from somewhere, we don't know where. And just to let you know, this is what I'm doing. Mr. Galloway and I have been working on this. I am in touch with Ms. Nardiello as well. I have since learned I spoke to Ann Flagg at Solid Waste to figure out how we could accommodate the tires and get rid of them. Her two suggestions are this. The first one is if it's under 100 tires, that we schedule an appointment with them in their November tire recycle, okay? And that they would not charge us for the fee to dump that many tires. They would just accept them and then help us get rid of them. But that would require us going and picking them up and everything else. And I'm trying right now with Ms. Nardiello to determine when we can go on the property. The property went into foreclosure as a tax sale. Went into foreclosure because of payment lack of taxes. And that judgment was done on June the 30th. I learned this from Kathy Dudley, who is the land reutilization person, the president on the board. Also, it is scheduled to go to sheriff's sale on October the 3rd, 2019, okay? I'd sent that information to you all in an email. It is, the minimum bid is $10,000. You can also see that there's a lot of obnoxious weeds. The whole grounds needs to be just wiped away, anything else like that, as soon as we can. But as of yesterday, I'm going to go back to the first slide if I can. But if you will look right here by the bushes, you'll see that there are 3 tires plus this 4th one, okay? If I go back to the first tire, to the first one, the one that's closer here, no, that's not it. You will see that there are no tires by the bush. Let me go to screenshot on that, I'm sorry. You can see that there are no tires by the bush there, and these were taken on the 20th of August. No tires by the bush, but as of today, we have 4 extra tires that have been placed there. Part of our process is to, in getting this settled and resettled, besides determining who now owns the property, is to do a resolution declaring that this is a nuisance and that it is uninhabitable, and it's, okay? And I'm going to let you, one of you, read this, and I'll seek approval. I'll fill in the rest of it as needed. I will have.
Are you ready?
Yep.
A resolution to approve the declaring of a nuisance that is uninhabitable located at 3687 Scott Avenue.
78.
3678.
Does it say 86?
You got 87, 3687. Is it 36?
78.
3678, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll change that, then, but you can say 78. Okay.
Flip the numbers.
Located at 3678 Scott Avenue, Hamilton, Ohio, 45013, and approved to apply to the Butler County Land Bank to have this property demolished. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Morgan Township, Ohio, that Section 1, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage. Section 2, that is found and determined that all formal actions of this Board of Trustees concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of the Board of Trustees in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
That's it. At this point,
How can we pass that resolution if it's going on sheriff's sale on October 3rd?
well, Ms.
It's
Nardiello,
inhabitable the way it is right now, but somebody could buy it and remodel it.
right, but at this point in time, we still have to declare it as uninhabitable if we are going to do anything about it, okay? This is just prepping us so that we, if we need to or absolutely have to, say it doesn't sell, okay? Which, as Ms. Dudley seems to think, after seeing the property and the pictures, that it wouldn't sell, that it's just not going to sell. Nobody's really going to want it.
And then it'll go to a second sheriff's auction, and I don't remember the
Well,
timeline. There's a
she told me-
timeline.
Yeah, well, she told me that it would remit to the state if we were interested in seeing that become property that is turned over to Morgan Township, okay? That they and the land bank would work with us to acquire any and all funds we feel necessary, or we feel it would cost us to tear down or deal with the property in any form or fashion. And all I'm doing is just trying to set this up so that if it does come down to the point where the only way to deal with it is for Morgan Township to do it, then we would have the funds possibly. That's why I asked for the approval.
So we can declare it a nuisance.
We can declare it a nuisance, but we have to declare it a nuisance right now.
But if we do that, does that mean that down the road, if nobody wants it, we have to take it over? Because I seriously don't see where the funds are going to come from to take care of this property.
Okay, that's a question I'll have to ask Ms. Nardiello, or Ms. Dudley as well. So you want to hold off on this then?
I don't want to see us get into anything that,
I
that's going
understand.
to commit us to something that we don't have the funds for.
I understand, Connie.
That's why I emailed you if we go on there, is that our cost or their cost to get rid of them tires?
If it's private
'Cause if it's
property,
our-
how could we go on it?
That's what we're
Well,
working
once you
toward.
did the nuisance and you declared it, then you could go on.
You can go and get a subpoena through the
And then if
courts.
you had them, they would pay for it, but I don't want to do it where we're going to pay for it right now.
Exactly.
Because let it sell, and then it's the property owners, because they bought it as is.
Right.
And it would be theirs.
And would it
That's
also,
one of them touchy situations.
Yeah,
and would it
Yeah.
also set a precedent that we're gonna go in on other properties and start picking up tires and
Right.
stuff? That's the other thing besides entering private property is what's the precedence it's gonna set?
this is all based on a St. Clair piece.
Let me read that again.
On
I
a
heard
St.
it,
Clair
but I want to
piece.
read it.
That's all right. It was based on a St. Clair Township piece through the land bank as well.
I just don't think we should pass this resolution
Yep.
yet, because we're basically calling it, making it uninhabitable. I wouldn't do that until after the sheriff's sale, because that will be on record. So if a potential buyer looks, they're gonna say, well, Morgan Township trustees have declared this uninhabitable. So that may limit our options of getting a buyer to come in and
Clean it up.
clean it up.
Okay,
I think we
That's
could
fine.
shoot ourselves in the foot. So I'd say table it until after October 3rd. That's
Okay.
my
that's fine.
opinion. What do you all think?
Well, I just had a question. Where did the $10,000 minimum bid come in at?
That's, yeah, that's set by the tax.
The sheriff's
The
office.
sheriff's office and the tax people. The judgment was for $7,814 of back taxes. That included the court cost and fees of it. And the judgment was done on June the 30th. And 30 days have passed for reconciliation of that. So that's why it's in sheriff's sale.
Was it?
That's recorded.
Yes. That's what I'm trying to find out.
I would think it's in foreclosure if probably bought the
I know the sheriff's office puts it up for foreclosure and then it'll go to sale. I know a lot of times they'll get ready to sell and they'll get ready to date, and then all of a sudden they come back in and say hold, because it's usually a bank or whatever, and they get rid of it, and they have liens on them and different things. A lot of times the liens, if I'm not mistaken, when they're like 300,000 and
There is
something,
a
liens on that
a
house.
state of Ohio Medicare lien on the house for
Medicaid.
300,
Medicaid.
Medicaid lien on the house for $312,000. Now, is that home worth it?
But usually when it goes through a sheriff's auction,
Those all
all
get
that's
wiped
wiped.
out.
Wiped
It's
away.
getting wiped off. Because no one's ever gonna buy it with $300,000 liens on it.
The current property owner listed is Terry Wilsey. Mr. Wilsey, I found out, lives at 60 Opal Drive in Lehigh Estates, and everything too.
Do you know how big that lot is?
Less than a third of an acre. The two together make about a third of an acre. There's two parcels there.
But that house is pretty much destroyed inside, ain't it?
Yeah, when we went in there, you'd fall through some of the floors inside there going into medical calls and everything.
And we do believe there's asbestos.
Yes.
We're not 100%, but yeah, there's, Well, the only way I would take it is if the land bank's gonna pay for it and they're gonna pay for it and it don't cost us anything and then we clean
Yeah.
it up. But I don't wanna sit here and say, we're gonna do this and now we're paying the bills.
I know Connie's cringing over there, but I make her cringe all the time.
Dealing with asbestos, that's big bucks.
Yeah.
If you can interject, but that's sort of what I do sometimes, so. Yeah, I think it's expensive.
Well, the whole house would have to be wrapped
Right, that's what I'm saying.
because it's the shingles, the
Yeah,
brown
it's the
shingles that
outside
you.
siding.
Yeah.
Shingle.
Do you wanna ask Miss Nardiella if there's any if we put that in before the sheriff's office or sheriff's sale? Are we determined that we gotta clean it up then?
I'll ask the question anyway.
Because if we called it, I don't know, I mean, that's one of them.
You should also ask if we can do it after the sheriff's sale. You might not be able to do it after the sale.
Well, once it's bought, now it's the homeowners, whoever bought it.
Right.
It's
we
their
deal with the-
responsibility, but no, if one buys it, then it may end up come back to us and do that, yes.
Well, no, we don't have to accept, from what I understand through the land bank, we don't have to accept it. We can ask, it goes to the state afterwards. The state becomes the owner for some reason. I don't understand that afterwards, but we have to ask the state to remit it to us if we want it, to do it.
But can you pass that resolution if the state owns it?
Right.
You may not be able.
That might be a question for the land bank too.
You know, we don't wanna have to clean that side up, because if I looked at them pictures right, those old siding that's on that,
That's-
is it asbestos?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we were saying
Asbestos.
earlier. That's the
That's what we got.
asbestos. Yeah, that's the asbestos. The whole house would have to be wrapped.
Right now, you can't even do anything about the tires or anything.
No.
Yeah,
Can't go
it's
on,
private property.
I can't go on the property.
All right.
So in checking, since you got pictures of the tires, have you talked with any of the neighbors to see if they saw any activity of somebody dumping those
By
tires?
the way, I talked to one, yeah, I just so happened to talk to one neighbor today, as I took those last two pictures, because those happened, new tires happened just this weekend or Monday night. There was a gentleman who was returning to his home there at the corner of Scott and Alert New London, across from the Oddfellows building. So he lives in the apartments there, or that home there. And I asked him, had he seen anything or anything else like that? And he said no, he had not seen anything being dumped or anything like that. But he has had his car broken into on several occasions, so he watches his car quite frequently. I gave him my business card and asked him that if he does see anything, to please call us. Okay?
One of the residents in Shandon kind of keeps an eye on the place, and he has had a sheriff's report, a police report filed after the second dumping of about 20 tires. So the sheriff department is aware that this is a problem.
So I probably need to call the sheriff's department and say some more tires were dumped.
phone call.
Well, while we're speaking of tires, I think I mentioned this to Dale. I believe Rob's the one that told me out on George Road where the old tower that's abandoned, I believe they're dropping tires there now too.
Yes.
I believe I mentioned that to Dale earlier. So that's something we're going to have to look into.
There's a sign on the front of the fence, who owns that tower, and I, off the top of my head, I thought it was Horizon Tower Company that owns it. I can go out there tomorrow and check, but there's a sign on there who owns that tower and the property, so.
All right.
Okay, so I will ask Ms. Nardiello on the resolution as to when or where we need to do it and what are its ramifications if we do it now. So number 3, you have your new books and they have tab labels in them, okay? Just to let you know that.
Thank you.
I received a call last week from A2 Properties Limited, as they are called, Property Solutions, that's actually the name of it. This is concerning the property at 6228 Cincinnati Brookville, our little hanging on piece of property that is zoned B3. And he asked me if a billboard could be placed on it. Well, our zoning regulations does not prevent billboards to be placed, okay? They are regulated as to size and location, and that's it. So I sent him the articles around those regulations and talked to him. And I will be waiting to see what else he does, okay? I just wanted to let you have a heads up on that. My thought is that all of those four plot parcels would have to be cleared in order for the billboard to do any good, because the trees in front of those, when you get to the bigger lot where the camper was, Daryl, all right, that's where I think he wants to place it. But would you see it coming around the curve? No, until you hit around the curve. So visibility on a billboard is the big thing, right?
What's he want to advertise?
He's probably got a billboard company that is going to lease it, as the chief said. As Jeff said, that, and I discussed that before the meeting. He probably has a leasing company. A billboard will want to lease the land and put the billboard there. I don't know any further information. He just called for some basic information, okay? Just thinking of it, I'm going to add one here. I've had a call from a sign company, a sign research company, asking me about height of signs and wind speed. Asking if we had a regulation of 100 miles per hour for significant west signs. I said, well, we don't regulate our signs on wind speed, at least at this point. We only do it on height and the piece of sign and where it's going and its location on the lot. Comes to find out, I asked further, and it comes to find out that she is looking at the sign would be somewhere on the in-between storage facility on Cincinnati Brookville there in Shandon and the empty lot. I asked her, well, can you tell me, and through emails, because I sent her our regulations on signs and the business district articles, just so that she could have that. And I said, can you tell me who is interested in this property? You know, well, I can't tell you because I'm just doing the research, was the answer I got. But rumor has it through our zoning commission that a store of Mr. Galloway's favorite store, Dollar General, is looking at the property that belongs to Miss Skaggs. Okay, not just in between storage, but the vacant lot next door to it, and everything else. Because if they just looked at the vacant lot, because I did get a call on the vacant lot, they wouldn't be able to build there because they couldn't do the mound system that they would need for the septic. Okay, by the time they put the building up, there would not be very much room for parking, and the size of the building determines the number of parking spaces that have to be around and everything else. So it was kind of interesting, okay? Also, moving on to number 5. The Okeana Food Mart is doing a remodeling inside the store, okay? I didn't know this, and they'd already started it apparently because the man showed me a picture, which also let me figure out some stuff. But I got a call, and Mr. Galloway told me that his fire department had been down there, and they had found out that he had already knocked out the wall and everything. He was doing it without us knowing it, kind of thing. And so they came in today to get their certificate and then go over and get the permits at Butler County that they needed. So we'll be inspecting that as it goes along. The fire department's going to be looking, make sure they've got all of their permits and stuff like that.
Did they get their pumps and that in?
They did, but the last few weeks that I've seen, those two new pumps have been wrapped with plastic bags like they're not functioning. So I don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, of course, the sign looks very nice. And my understanding is that they will be building a little sort of island. They're going to do stonework up about a foot or so around it in a circle of some, or an oval of some kind, and then keep it grassed and mowed and have some nice flowers, bushes, or whatever there, shrubs, okay? So that takes care of number 5. Number 6, I emailed the Three Valley Trust for to be updated on all the new property placed in conservancy since the end of 2018. Actually, from the time I received it in February of last year to now, okay? I have Mr. Smith, who's the executive director there. I emailed him, and he told me that he's handed it over to one of his underlings and that I should receive it by Friday, all right, in his response. All right, we come to 3872 State Line Road and the bushes, okay? I have a letter here. I'm going to turn it over to Brett and let him discuss what he has done with this as he has worked this issue, okay?
All right, I went to the residence of 3872 Shonling Road, here in Okeana, which is Miss Carlina Bacon? Bakoven. Went there on Thursday the 16th, met with, I believe it's her son, and discussed the bushes and the trees, because we did this last year, and after we done the letters, and the day that we were supposed to go dig them.
Well, their address, it's
It's on the
state line.
corner.
It's on the corner.
Oh.
Here's the issue here. The house fronts state line, and it has a state line address of 3872. But the bushes are on 3872 Shonling Road.
Well, they're on both.
Well, they're on both.
It goes all the way around the corner.
Goes all the way
on
around the
both.
corner.
But they got the same address?
No. Because, Darrell, the Bakovens received their mail from the Shonling address. Their mailbox sits across the road on Shonling Road.
But it's the same number on Shonling as it is on State Line?
That's, let me look.
I don't know how that could be
Oh,
going up and down the street.
What's the number
I
spelled,
thought it was on
right?
State Line.
it's 72.
It was weird, because I know when we done this the first time in 2017,
Yeah, but you see what you're saying?
it corners.
Your addresses run in numerical order. How could they both end up at 3872 right next to each other?
No, it's 70-something on the thing. Let me get my other folder that I have on the junk card.
You go ahead and
But anyway, I had spoke with him on the Thursday and discussed that we'd went through this a couple years ago, and the day that we were supposed to go dig them out after we done our letters like we had, that she called me that morning and said she would trim them. So I told Rob to hold off, and I said, you got till Friday, and if they're not gone or trimmed down, we were taking them out, because we went through the whole process. They never responded, never called back, never would answer the door, because I'd been there like during the daytime rounds 5 or 6. I showed up in the early in the afternoon, and I even went at 11 o'clock at night, which usually is when they're active. So I got part of the drawings on part of the Ohio Revised Code 5543.14, which is a county engineer to trim and remove vegetation along roads. It's a measurement, and it gives us certain leadway of, and it's got the speed limits involved of how much we can trim and what has to be visible on that corner for people to see. So I got a copy from Rob. I took that to them Monday the 19th. Said they were working on getting somebody's trimmers to trim this plate, trim the bushes. And both times I did state to them that the township would probably be willing as well, if we did a work agreement, that I would bring our arm trimmer out there and trim them down, but I would make them sign that, yes, we could before we done that, to give them an option to do that. Monday, I said, you know, if you can't get this done by Friday, we got our meeting coming up, then we're gonna start the letters. I didn't wanna go through the letters, but if you're gonna make me do that. I went back Monday, last night, nothing's done, and they wouldn't answer the door. And also, this is the same property that has multiple junk. Thursday the 16th to Monday the 19th, there was more junk in the thing. There was an extra washer and dryer, some other stuff in the yard, and this and that. By Monday night the 26th, I could barely get my truck in the driveway. I was actually kind of sticking in the road. They've gotten more and more stuff in the yard while I was there. So I'm to the point, I tried to be nice. I give them an option where we could even mow it off. So I'm to the point of doing the resolution to send the letter and start the process. And if we're going up there, we're going to tear them out. I'm not cutting them off, but we're doing it every year, and we have the right to take them totally out, according to this Ohio Revised Code. We did a letter, the same thing. We sent it November 2nd, 2017, and here we are again. So, I will make a motion, or a resolution, for the Ohio Revised Code 5543.10 to have Rob, and we're gonna have to remeasure it. Let me hold the message. I'll explain this afterwards. Remeasure and determine how much we can cut and take out.
Not Rob.
To go ahead and send the letter to the property owner of Carlina Baycoven at 3872 Shonling Road.
Shonling Road, that's correct, because
And
the
the-
state line road is 3836.
And the G number, I believe that's G at the beginning. I can't read his
Yes, it
writing.
is.
It's a G.
G 3210030300008 to remove the bushes if they do not trim them.
You done?
I'm done.
Second.
Can I just make a note that you instruct the road department to move and not Rob specifically?
That is correct, the road
My-
department.
But my only comment would be, when you put Rob up there in the road department to do this, he's gonna be confronted.
If he does, he
what-
calls 911, they come out there and watch us and we do it.
So I just need to make that, he needs to be part of this discussion when he comes back in as well, that this is the plan, and he's ready to function in that, take the abuse for what he's gonna get when he rolls in there with a backhoe. But,
Well, last time she wouldn't respond to any of the mailings because you got to do the first notice and you give them so many days, which I believe Dale's working on that, we'll sign it. Then we have to do a second notice. And then after the second notice, after that time frame, they don't do it, we can go get it. Because we did that last time, it was kind of funny. She called me the day we were coming to go tear them out. And I spoke with her personally on Monday the 19th, but no one showed up, no one would answer the door last night. So I've been up there 3 times. And I tried to get them to cooperate. And I even give them a way that we could do it to help them.
okay.
I don't know what else I can do.
Yep.
Ready for a roll call?
Okay. Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
What's that resolution number, please?
2025-2019.
I'll put it on this letter.
Do you think that's something you can tweak that letter tonight, or
Yeah,
so we can sign it?
Yeah, as soon as I finish here, I'll go do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
That way we can get it going.
All right, so All right, the zoning commission met last Wednesday. The minutes are on the website under a draft opinion. They're also over here on the table. We are working, we had only 3 members, so we didn't get too far into discussion of the Shandon rezoning that we want to look into at this point in time. Other than that, if there's any other questions for me, I'm finished.
Thanks, Dale.
Okay, Mrs. Reinhardt.
Okay, the first 2 things are amending resolutions from the last meeting because I had incorrect figures for the ODOT grant that we received. So number 1 is amend resolution 115-2019 to approve adding 25,000, oh, I got too many fives in there.
Say there's something there.
$25,352.12 to Fund 2904 in their revenue and appropriation budgets for 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. So that's 126, Carol?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then the next one is amend Resolution 116-2019 to approve the 2019 permanent appropriations for 2019 to be submitted to the Butler County Auditor's Office with a total carryover balance available for appropriation of $1,626,736.41, a total amount from all sources available for expenditures of $1,765,407.93, for a total amount available plus balances of $3,392,144.34 as shown below. And then there is the chart of all the different funds that outlines where all of that money is going.
When will we get that money? Or is this what?
The money,
We don't have $541,000 in the general fund right now, do we?
that's the appropriations for the year.
For the year, okay.
Okay,
Got it.
so
Got it.
the money for the ODOT grant has come in and went out.
Right,
We didn't actually get the money, but I've got to show it going through
Right.
our books.
right. Okay. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. All right, the next thing in your packet that I gave you, I received something from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. The Cayata Saloon is changing the people in their corporation or their LLC, and they want to know if we require a hearing in order for this permit to change.
I haven't heard any problems. I'm good with it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. The next thing, you may not remember, but every 2 years we have to approve our depository agreement with LC&B National Bank. It will run from September 15th of 2019 through September 14th of 2021 inclusive. You have a copy of the agreement. All the amounts, I've checked everything. They are the same as the depository agreement has been in the past. But I do need a resolution to approve the agreement so that I can sign it and return it. Actually, I need 2 signatures, so one of you will have to sign it, or 2 of you will have to sign it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. Okay, Jeff Galloway, Rob Brim, and I met with Carrie Novosel from the Ohio Plan last week to go over our insurance proposal from next year. And it came up in our discussion that in order for our liability coverage to stay in place, all employees must annually complete a sexual harassment training, and the fire department, road department personnel, and the trustees must also complete HIPAA training. And I have to keep the proof of those classes because if anything should happen, we've got to be able to prove that we've had that training. So I need to keep in the files in my office from the road department, the trustees, the zoning administrator, the fiscal officer, and the zoning board members. So far for this year, I have 3. I have mine, Mr. Brucker's, and Mr. Marshall's. No one else has turned
So
theirs
the
in.
online is acceptable?
Yeah, I just need a
online
copy
training?
of your certificate,
Okay.
but I've got yours.
Are we doing HIPAA online too?
Yep.
I need that because I never did get it to go through.
Yeah, I don't have anyone's HIPAA. I do have the sexual harassment for the 3 people that I said.
How long would they go for?
1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
Oh, 1 year.
It has to be done annually to keep our liability coverage in place.
And how
So
soon do you need that?
as soon as possible. We should have had it the first of the year.
The insurance proposal is, are they presenting us with a billing estimate, and then
Not yet.
that's what we'll be looking at?
They haven't presented it with us with that. The meeting was to go over the amounts of coverage, to make sure everything was covered, that there hadn't been anything added that we had forgotten to let Carrie know about. We did increase the coverage on a couple things. You know, we tweaked a few things here and there. When that proposal comes through, then Carrie will be here to answer any questions and go over everything with all the trustees. This was just a meeting to determine that our coverages were correct before she did the proposal so that they could determine a value.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The next ones, I need a PO to Firelands Supply Company for $4,176 for signs from the ODOT grant.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes,
Motion approved. A PO to MD Solutions for $20,565.12, again for the signs from the ODOT grant.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
yes,
Motion approved. And then a PO to Active Screw and Fastener for $611, again, signs from the ODOT grant.
So moved.
second,
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
yes,
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved. The last one is a PO to Boundtree Medical for EMS supplies for $5,000.
so moved,
Second?
Mr. Kolb?
yes,
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
You need that signed for LCND?
Yeah. The other thing, a couple of weeks ago, when I was walking across to the firehouse, I noticed that someone had a big box truck out at the dumpsters, and, I mean, it was filled to capacity. And they were putting everything in our dumpster. So I went and got Chief, and he went and talked to them, and they said they were from Ross Township, and they only filled one dumpster when they came, but it sounded like they came frequently. And then about a week later,
I intercepted another trailer loading probably 3 of the 5 dumpsters out back with way more than what one household would put here. And I questioned them as well, and they kind of hurried up, not the last one and called a butt. So I don't know if we can talk to Ann Flag and put on the dumpsters for residents only, not that that's a deterrent, but it seems now that, and
One's our
because if
copy.
you remember, Rob got
one's our copy.
several complaints to him from the Shandon Fire Station about the dumpsters being overfull when they're trying to dump stuff. And I think
That's our
because
copy.
out of township folks are now coming here and dumping commercial boxes. I mean, the one truck that Connie saw and then I intervened in, it was literally a full panel van full of boxes. They fill almost every dumpster themselves, so.
So that's why our
Do me a
dumpsters are so
favor,
full.
next time get a picture of the license plate or picture of the thing, because the only way we can track them. And in Ross, correct me if I'm wrong, they have that garbage thing, they're paying for recycling.
I don't think they're paying for recycling in Ross. I think that was part of the competitive bid package that they passed down there to get that for free.
In that agreement, they pay for every resident.
I don't think so. That's not what the fiscal officer had mentioned, but here nor there.
I'll get, I haven't seen him in the last
I
10
don't.
days since I done both of them. But I will get more information and attach when I folks are now starting to come in here and just an easy, convenient way to dump all their stuff into our dumpsters. So,
Wasn't there a tire left out there too, the last
maybe
month?
Rob noticed it, I didn't notice it.
Someone told me that.
I didn't notice it.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Mr. Kroll?
Okay. It looks like I'm going to be the solid waste management point of contact for the county, to the recycling and waste management, taking John Kine's place. So we're kind of looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a good thing for visibility, and to I know Steve Schultz is on the board as well, so Morgan Township will be well represented in that forum. A couple of responsibilities, what they deal with is policy, provide recycling events, best practices awareness, and opportunities to the township. So there are just a couple of them that seemed like they were coming up that I don't know if people were aware of, but the Solid Waste District offers a free curbside pickup program to all Butler County residents for refrigerators, freezers, dehumidifiers, and air conditioners. So if there's any, I know I've seen refrigerators set out before, so one call to the Solid Waste Management Office, you set it out by 7 a.m. the following morning, and it will be picked up and taken away and recycled and reprocessed for the freon that's involved. So the other thing, what we were talking about, what Dale was just mentioning about, there is a tire collection event up at Ross High School the first 2 weeks in November, and they'll be you can take up to 10 tires per household down there for recycling and drop those off. So that's just, we're getting ready to hit their website within the next couple of days, but that's opportune that it's coming up this quickly. And finally, the Butler County Trustee Association golf outing was held this past Friday up at the Elks, and the benefit, the amount raised was just about $14,000, and that will be going to, as we discussed last trustee meeting, that's going to the 4-H community for scholarships and to help fund trips to Washington. And in addition, I didn't realize this, or it wasn't, I was made known talking to some of the people there, that the 4-H program extends down to the elementary schools. So I talked to some of my teacher connections, and they weren't aware that the young children can get involved in that. And then as they roll into that 4-H program, once they hit the high school, there's scholarship money and avenues for doing quite a few things. So we're pushing that out and letting people know a little bit more about that. And there's going to be additional 4-H programs that come through the community starting in this fall throughout the next year. And finally, this was something that Daryl brought up the last trustee meeting, was about the plot of land down in Okeana that was looking for possible donation, and talked to some of the business owners down in the area down there, and they weren't interested in having it, but they were possibility thinking that either the township could take it, possess it, and hold it as it is, or perhaps turning it into a park and ride if that could benefit some of the township residents. So I just wanted to follow up, because I know we committed back to Daryl to an answer to see if we were interested or not interested, but that's what I found out. So I don't know if that helps or not, where we are, Daryl, or if there's any new development with the people who are donating.
Yeah, I followed my answer.
Okay.
Really, other than the ride share thing, I don't think, there's not enough room for parking. There we can get 2 cars in.
Yeah, I don't know that there'd be enough room for a park and ride either.
You'd have to blacktop or pave
We
it
can
or
only get a
Yep.
couple cars,
Yeah.
if that would be.
And you'd have an expense of putting, what, part of that building down and putting a parking lot in? and
Clearing
a
off the
drive, and
ground and,
maintain.
That wouldn't be cheap.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know how they even took it over, to be honest with you, because it was part of the old mill
They've owned that for a long time.
Yeah. Highest championship. Not
Alright.
much, not much township.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Mr. Brown?
Nothing tonight.
All right, we already did the state line thing. I had a gentleman from Duke Energy, it was an Anthony Julian, who's out of Florida, called me, and it has to do with the big tree down in Shandon, where Mrs. Henderson was trying to get down where that, was tearing up the sidewalk. He called me, and Duke will cut that tree down, but needed somewhere to do with the wood. He contacted her. She doesn't want the wood, so I went to Mr. Burwinkle across the street, which sells the firewood, and I asked him if he was interested. So I told Mr. Julian, because he is interested, that he cut the tree down and the wood would go right across the street. So that can be done for her. So that's in the works. Don't know when it'll be scheduled to be done. So Mr. Warwick gets some wood and she gets that tree taken down, which if you look at that tree, it goes all the way over top of Burwinkle's property anyway on the other side of the street and over top of her house, which I don't want to be the one to cut that tree down. We already talked about the grants. And did you want to look into information on
Yep.
income tax?
That's what we were looking at, yeah, to see if we could get information on how the school did the earned income tax versus property tax for a operating levy.
Yeah.
Did you get any more information? I know
The last we saw
Mike
was
Stein
what
said-
Mike Stein said, that it's not done at the county auditor's level. That's something probably the state of Ohio's Department of Taxation, or we try and find out from somebody at the Ross School Districts how they went about it.
Okay.
But that's way
Maybe Mr.
beyond the
Brown might know
counties.
too. Because he was there when they did the first one. From the auditor's office, he was on the school board when they did it the first time.
Who was?
Dave
Mr. Brown.
I thought you said Brim. I'm
I
sorry.
did too, that's why I thought you were looking at Rob and like,
Sorry. Mr.
Rob's
Brown.
been promoted.
oh,
Do we really want to do an earned income tax where only the people that are working are going to pay this when all the residents are using our township roads?
well, that was one of the things that came back loud and clear when the school board wanted to put a levy on, that there are people that own property that don't have anybody in the schools.
Yeah, but-
And then you got people that don't own property that got a lot of kids in the schools. And
Right.
they're not paying anything unless their landlord increases their rent.
Right. But this is a little different. We're talking about using that to pay
I'm
roads.
just throwing it out there as an
Yeah.
option, we're not gonna do anything
Right.
immediately, just look at our alternatives. Do we, what can we
Because I don't know.
generate through a school, or from a property tax increase, and what can we do with a earned income?
I think it's worth looking at. I don't know that I want to go that way, but I don't know if you can control how much you're going to get, because does people all of a sudden not have jobs and it goes down? Whereas the other property tax is kind of a set, we kind of know, because if you plan for that money and then you ain't got that money, we're in trouble.
Yep.
So I don't know how that works. So information to find out, I'm all right to at least look into it,
Sure.
at least research it. Because I don't know how it works, honestly.
I'll see if I can find more out about it.
Probably the first one would be the finance fiscal officer over at Ross School Districts. I just saw him the other day, and I can't think of his name, but he would probably know how that whole transpired.
And we may not even be eligible to do it.
It might not be, it might be a special
Right.
school district that can
Right.
do that and not a township on a regular governmental township.
Well,
No.
as I said, while you were gone, I'll get you a copy of that to measure back out, but we are starting the letter to go forward with that. So that way, because I know that speed limit changed, so that probably actually shortens the length of what we can cut. if I
Probably.
remember right.
Right.
So I'll get that back to you. And then you might as well, if you need them to mark it out or us to mark it out, so we know once it comes down.
Okay. Also, this is the plans, the application, the permit, and the final inspection for that sideway project from 87, 88.
I have it right here.
You got it too?
Yeah, you
Alright.
sent it to me.
Okay.
And just for general knowledge, Mrs. Henderson thought it was a brand new sidewalk. It's not. It says on here, performing maintenance on existing sidewalk by replacing sections.
And it clearly states on the plans of what sections they replaced and what sections they didn't, and where they did put in some new, but there was no new put in by her, just replacement put in by her. But there was some new put in, and it says in those plans where the new was and where the stuff was replaced. So
You wanna see this?
Yeah. Rob, but were you aware that, or talking about these bushes up on Shaneling Road, about you're gonna be taking those out? Or do you know you're gonna be confronted when you do that?
You'll have a spot check.
So question is, how
I
do
know a
you-
big guy that lives pretty close there. I
How
think
do
I'm
you-
gonna call him and ask him to help me out, so.
I don't, we just didn't want to put you in a spot where you're going to be dealing with something you don't want to be dealing with.
Yeah, but I'm fine with that because, you know, part of my job is making sure the roads are staying open, so I've been kind of pushing for this too when the truck was there, and so I mean, I'm,
Okay.
I can,
But you're gonna pull them out, Rob, and they're not gonna cut them out this time, right?
correct.
We didn't cut them last time. We were going to take
Well,
them
yeah,
out
I
with the
mean, they
backhoe
were
and then just
cut,
re-level the ground and it's done. Because as long as they're there, it seems like we're doing it every year.
You will.
Every 2 years. We did it in 17, didn't we?
Well, if I remember right, we even talked to them last year. I think
And
they
the year
did
before.
trim them.
They trimmed them the last 2 years.
Right.
But we had to get on them. First time and we had to do the letters, I went to her this time, but it's like they were responsive and then all of a sudden they just quit. So, I can only do what I can do.
And they added trash to do it?
Oh my God, that yard's a mess.
I'm working on that side
I
there.
don't mean to be mean, but that's a mess.
As well as the backyard.
Huh?
As well as the backyard.
Oh, the whole property.
Anything else?
Nope.
Anything else? Nothing?
Do I have all three signatures on that letter?
Now we got
Did I give it to? Oh, I
to go to executive session.
gotta go what?
Executive for fire.
Personnel?
Yes.
Alright. I'll make a motion at 8:20 to go to executive session.
Second.
Personnel?
Oh. Second.
Mr. Updike,
Yes?
Mr. Brucker,
Yes.
Mr. Kolb.
Yes.
We are adjourned to executive session.
Okay, I'll make a motion at 8:50 to come out of executive session.
Second.
Mr. Brucker,
Yes.
Mr. Updike,
Yes.
Mr. Kolb.
Yes.
I did that backwards.
That's all right. We got the
Okay.
point.
Anything? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I wanted to bring up or ask,
Okay.
because I didn't want to bring it up until I talked to Connie about it. And I'm trying to find where I did with the estimate here, but remember last meeting I said I was getting estimates on repainting the bed on Mark's dump truck, trying to keep that in good shape and so it lasts a few years longer. I got two quotes, one from Mount Carmel Auto Body, or Merrill Auto Body out in Mount Carmel. Here it is. And they wanted $3,400 to sandblast it, primer it, and put a, I forget what kind of paint they called it, but anyway, they wanted $3,400. Beamer's Piggyback Sales and Service down in Sharonville. They gave me a price for doing the same thing, but he spelled it out in his estimate here is to bead blast the whole dump bed, apply epoxy primer, paint bed red, all areas of to be painted with the exception of under the body between the long sills. Epoxy primer paint, finish top coat red, sandblast the whole thing, disposal of the sandblast and paint in it for a total of $1,711.62.
Is that outside and inside?
No, it's just outside.
Okay, just wondering.
That's his salt truck, right?
Correct, the salt truck.
So why would,
The dump body itself, because if you go back and look at it now, you can see there's all kinds of surface rust is bubbling up, and the pockets where the wood sits, the side rails, he's gonna sandblast all that. Those would be repainted, then we'll put the wood side rails back down in the pockets, and we're just doing this to try to make it last.
Extend the life.
Extend the life of it, because it's
Any of
10
it-
years old now, so,
Any of it gonna need patched?
no,
Weld repair?
no.
Okay.
We did that, looked over it real good, it's all just surface rust, and that's why I wanna get on it now, is before it becomes any more than just surface rust. So, but I wanted to make sure that Connie had the money there to do it before I went and brought it up in the meetings.
Do you?
Yeah, we can,
And Beamer's was how much again?
35?
34, no,
So
Thousand?
Beamer's was 1,711,
All the,
and Merrill Auto Body out in Mount Carmel, Indiana, they want 3,400,
yeah, double.
basically $1,600, yeah, double.
yeah.
I mean, they do nice work out there, but I don't know if it's worth $1,600.
but the difference was, I heard you say epoxy paint on the inside and the outside?
It's epoxy paint all around, so
Okay, so what
So-
was the difference between the two? What was one gonna do that the other one's not gonna do?
basically they're both gonna do the
Same.
exact same thing. It's just one's twice as much as the other one, so that's the only difference.
And Beamer's is the one that did our other bed, the stainless.
Correct.
What was the cost of the stainless bed?
That was
Almost 10,000, wasn't it?
12,000.
Yeah, I thought it was, yeah.
$12,000.
So this is money well spent to preserve it. So you need a motion for the PO to?
Yes.
Beamer
Beamer.
piggyback sales and service.
Okay, I'll make a motion for a PO to paint,
Just the bottom line has the Beamers.
oh, the
thing.
to Beamer's Piggyback Sales and Service to paint Mark's bed on his dump truck for a total of $1,711.62.
Second?
Mr. Brucker,
Yes.
Mr. Kolb,
Yes.
Mr. Updike.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Mr. Kolb,
Yes.
Mr. Brucker,
Yes.
Mr. Updike.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
I turn the tape off.